Thanks, Philip. I'm glad you joined us today. Hope you're having a great weekend. My goal with the show is to interview our community leaders and individuals that help make Putnam County a great place to live. One necessity of life that we take for granted until we don't have it is our water supply. Turning on the faucet and water coming out for sure makes life much easier. So today I want to talk about a big success story that we have in our county with one of our utility districts, and that's the Cookeville Boat Dock Utility District. And to do that, I have as my guests the board members of the district, Mr. Grover Bennett Jr., Mr. Dow Harris, and we had David Matson, the other board member, going to be with us today, but because of an issue he had at the last minute that with his work had to cancel. So, gentlemen, thank you for being with us today, and glad you're here.
Thank you, Randy. We appreciate the opportunity to invite us on the show.
For the folks that live down in the Cookeville Boat Dock Utility District, they probably know a lot about what we're going to talk about today with the success story. But for our other listeners that don't, I want to give some history of where it was and where it's been brought to over the last 2 or 3 years. So when I came into office, one of the things that I started doing was getting complaints from citizens that live in that area about the utility district and how the operations and things were not working well. So I started going to some of the board meetings, and I'll never forget the first board meeting that I went to. I found out that Cookeville Boat Dock had a leak rate, and that means the amount of water that's being lost, that's being bought from Cookeville and then lost and not getting out to the customers was 53%. So basically, to put that in real layman's terms, is for every 2 gallons of water that the utility district was purchasing, they were losing a gallon of that just out into the ground somewhere. So it was not a good situation, and financially, managerially, there was a lot of issues down there. So I contacted the state board that oversees all the utility districts for the state of Tennessee, and they started investigating and sending folks here, and within several months after that, they wiped out the existing board that was down there and wanted me to appoint a new board. So Here you come into play, and Grover, I think I talked to you first, to the best of my recollection, and to see if you were interested in serving, and you know, to jump on a sinking ship, to paraphrase a little bit, that not everybody wants to do that, but y'all had a vested interest in this.
That is correct. Back in the February of 2016, you and I talked about me being put on the board. As a 3-member board, it takes 2 out of 3 to make changes. And you said a second board member would be replaced in another year. If I wanted to get on the board and learn about it and write it out, in another year I'd have somebody that could help me make changes.
Right.
And from that time to June 1st is when the state removed the rest of the board, and then you appointed an entirely new board, so which really saved a year in changing the dynamics of the district. But yes, growing up down there, I've heard the stories of lack of customer service and water loss and such, and so I thought, well, I'd like to see if I can help on that, and that's why you and I discussed it, and I was willing to serve.
And Dal, you were in the same boat. You live down there, and it's a community thing, isn't it?
Yes, you know, I vested interest. I have a little cattle farm operation down there. My wife and I had built a home down there off Medlin Road about 14 years ago this past December. And, you know, I didn't know a lot about the utility. I know I had water, like you say. The asset was there when I turned my faucet on. And I began to see this information in the newspaper. And I saw that there was a mention of a board member opportunity. And then I said, you know, I was talking to my wife. I said, you know, I think I'll check into that. I have a vested interest. I have some water experience. And being an administrator with the Housing Authority for years, I thought I could help things out. And you know, I think we had an interview, and I appreciate the opportunity that I've had to help turn the utility district around.
And David Matson, speaking for him, basically had the same energy level and expertise. David being an engineer like you are, Grover, and David actually works for W&O Construction and actually is involved in a lot of water projects across the state. So when I started looking for board members, I wanted people that were community oriented, that had that drive to want to serve your community, but at the same time that had the expertise to be able to do this, because not just everybody can walk in and run a large operation like a utility district is. So we had the engineering experience with Grover and David, and the business experience with you, Dow, and so talk about when you first walked in. I appointed you, and you walked in, and what was that like, walking into something that was in that big of a mess as it was?
Well, first I'd like to point out, when you did interview me, and I assume you did with David and Dow, was if we took on this position, you wanted us to run it with honesty and integrity.
Absolutely.
And I agreed to that, and I assume the other two did as well. So when we took over, it was really just kind of observing what's going on, finding out where we were financially, customer service-wise, the whole system, and then start going to mandatory state training for a board member to learn what our job responsibilities are with utility district. So again, it took us a couple months to figure out where we were, where we needed to go. And from that point, then we started discussing about bringing in-house maintenance managers in, general managers plus employees. And so that was our first task. I'll let you.
Randy, one of the first things I saw, the first board meeting that I had the opportunity to attend, just a total lack of organization, no agenda, no documentation, things weren't documented well. It was kind of off the cuff. I think I recall the first board meeting that I attended, I said, what in the world have I got into? It turned into a marathon. We were there for like 2.5, 3 hours, and I said, so I think that was one of the first things that I worked on, bringing some organization, some formality to the way the board meetings were conducted, the way they were documented, and we immediately began to work on policy and procedures and some things that I think administratively really helped us move in the right direction to where we could begin to get control and turn things around.
Ultimately, that district is in place to provide water to those citizens of that community there. So you're actually serving the citizens of that community, and that's one of the things that I kept hearing from the citizens in that area is that we don't feel like we're being served properly. Their rates were going up. They were losing all this water. The problems with the billing, problems with the lines. I mean, it was on and on and on, and they didn't feel like they were able to talk to their board members and get any good answers or anything. So in looking back at that, you three, in a very short time frame, walked into the bad situation, but it immediately brought that integrity and that wanting to do what's right to that board. And I think the citizens in that area saw that, and you've been able to create a huge success story that we're going to continue talking about in our next segment here. My guests today are Grover Bennett Jr. and Mr. Dow Harris. They are board members of the Cookeville Boat Dock Utility District. And the reason I have them on the show today is they have a huge success story that I want to make sure everyone knows about. Cookeville Boat Dock Utility District was having a lot of issues, and so I brought them in as new board members, and they've been able to turn it around and do some amazing things down at Cookeville Boat Dock. One of the big things, gentlemen, was the leak rate that we talked about earlier. So for every 2 gallons of water that you were buying, one of those was being lost just in leaks across your system, and so you're only able to use one of those. That's a lot of money just being paid for and going in the ground. Talk a little bit about that, what you did to be able to correct that issue.
Well, first I'd like to give you some numbers, hard numbers. October 2016, our financial statement from our accountant shows that we purchased 24.7 million gallons of water for that 1 month. Mm-hmm. We sold 10 million. Wow. So we actually had a loss of 14.6 million gallons of water.
That's a lot of water to just be going in the ground.
That we're paying for. All the customers of the district are paying for. And what that converts into that is right at $35,000 a month that the district and the customers are paying for lost water.
Losing. And just basically because of leaks that you had in the system that hadn't been repaired?
Correct. That's the number one problem there.
So when you came in, I know that was one of the big items that you wanted to try to correct. So I know you did some changes with how the maintenance was going on and everything. How were you able to correct that so quickly?
Well, first of all, we were the utility was operating under a contract. A contractor was being paid to go out and set the taps, set the meters, lay the mains, do everything that the utility needed maintenance-wise, and we just felt that to get control of that, to make sure that we were being productive and efficient, and we looked at hiring a general manager, Mr. Jason Pierce, that has been just phenomenal in the job that he's done in helping us. He immediately, we challenged Jason with this leak loss. We said, Jason, we'd like to see single digits.
Yeah.
He said, well, I don't know if I can get single digits, but he says, I think we can get down in the teens. I've seen it as low as 12%. I think we're sitting about 15% right now. But he immediately set up some technology, some things, and we began to eliminate some redundancy in some mains, some old mains, and some of the capital improvements that we can talk about later on. All the water meters, the cash register for the agency was all replaced, all new meters throughout the entire system.
And Dale, if you'll expound on the radio read meters.
The radio read meters.
So explain that, those radio read meters, that changes the whole way that you go out and read the meters, right?
Yeah, before, when we took over, we had the old meters. Some of them were 40-plus years old, where you had someone physically get out and read the meter, write it down, bring it back to the office, had to be transferred and entered into the computer. Well, it took 2 people a week apiece to read all those meters, costing the district $35,000 a year.
Wow.
We put in the radio read meters, and in one day, one of the employees of the district can ride the entire district and read all the meters.
Doesn't even have to get out of the truck.
Doesn't have to get out of the vehicle. It dumps it straight into the computer, so we don't have to enter it later. So we're getting instantaneous readings, and we're saving $35,000, $36,000 a year on meter reading.
Wow.
But another plus with that is, they have alarms on those meters for each customer what their normal use is, and if it's out of bounds, then it flags the lady reading it, contacts the owner and says, you might want to look at your water, you see if you have a leak because it's higher than normal.
Which is a great benefit to the customers, because if you got a leak, 9 times out of 10, you weren't going to know about it before until you got your water bill.
And we're certainly letting them know. But the cash register, for the utility, the water meters became much more accurate.
Right.
The billing became much more accurate, so we were saving some of our water loss there. And we began to identify these leaks, and Jason and the crew that we were able to put in place begin to repair leaks and fix leaks, and we've eliminated some of these old water mains and things that, we actually found out that we had laid new water mains and never tied the new the existing services over to the new water main that was laid.
You were still on the old main.
Still on the old main, and we had leaks, in those services, and we've since went by. We're in the process of replacing all those services throughout the entire system, and several of these mains have been cut off and done away with where we had the redundancy, and it's just been going out there and fixing what needs to be fixed. The bottom line is those guys have went out and fixed these leaks.
And in some cases, there were 3 mains down the road instead of the one, so we had 3 mains in there. So, to my knowledge, we're down to just one small location with multiple mains that we're looking at how we're going to change it a very small amount. Talking about the leaks again, the majority of our leaks have been on the service line, which is from the main line to the meter.
Right.
That's the vast majority. So that's why we're in the process, as Dal said, of changing every one of those out in the district. And hopefully, once those are changed out to our standards, that'll be a 30 to 40-year fix on those lines.
So, you came on the board, was that 2016?
June 1st, 2016.
And so since June 1st of 2016, and I know we're already in 2020, but these changes started happening almost immediately. I was amazed at how quick you did. You going from a leak rate of 53 to 55% all the way down to that 12 or 15%. And from hearing of other folks, the normal leak rate for a water utility district is probably in the 20s somewhere, I'm guessing. So you've done much better than most others are able to do. But you've also changed the financials at Cookeville Boat Dock. A lot more cash, and the flow of money is working better.
Instead of half our water running out into the ground and us having to pay for that, we're not purchasing that water. And so the expenses have dropped substantially, and we're much more accurate with our billing process, and we're collecting. We implemented a collection policy where the meters, if they didn't pay, there was people that didn't pay their water bill and their water never got cut off. I'm sorry to say that, and we implemented a water cutoff procedure if they didn't pay the bill. what do we have, 50 or 60?
The first month, we had 40 people that were over 90 days late.
And that's not fair to the people
It's not fair to people pay theirs on time.
Yeah.
And now I think with the implementation of that, which I think has been fair,
We're down less than 10 people per month, less than 10 per month that aren't paying their bill out of 2,900.
And one thing I hear too is you instituted a new insurance policy. So for folks that do have major leaks, that the insurance policy covers that for them. Is that correct?
Right. They pay their average monthly bill. Once they show proof that they've had that repaired, their leak repaired, the insurance company will pay the next $1,000 on that bill. So that holds the district whole. So we're financially sound. Anything beyond the 1,000 is just the cost of the water to the customer. That's it. There's nothing for us on that.
Which is great for the community down there and the people that you service. With these board members being able to turn it around and provide great service to that area. Guys, we've been talking about the leak rate and so forth. Grover, you had some numbers you want to give us when it comes to the big change that you've been able to make.
Yes, again, I'd like to point out that in October 2016, we lost 14.6 million gallons of water that 1 month. Today, we're losing 1.6 million. So that's a difference of approximately $376,000 a year we're saving in water loss per year.
Just in savings and water loss.
Right, and that's helped us to maintain our low water rate. The only increase we've had in the 3.5 years passed through that the city of Cookeville raised to us last year. And again, we put nothing on it for us. So everything we've done has been with the current rate structure when we took over.
You know, Randy, with that water loss, we were actually losing somewhere between $200,000 and $300,000 with our maintenance operations.
Yeah.
Now we've put the staff as employees of the utility. We've bought all the equipment and paid for it, and we even bought some more real estate in a facility for them to operate out of, and all that has paid for itself.
Yeah, without having to.
And it's debt free and everything's paid for.
That's amazing, and the district is growing. You've got a lot of new homes being built in the area.
Right. The last 4 years, the district's gained 214 customers.
Which is big for
us.
For the size district it is. And a lot of folks may not know, you cover way down into DeKalb County also, right?
That is correct. We go all the way to Center Hill Lake, into DeKalb County. And I think there's some tremendous opportunity for the utility with the new Tennessee Avenue intersection, the fifth interchange with the, that's in our, we got a substantial amount of area there in that interchange area, and we're looking for some commercial growth even when it comes to there. We can talk about some things that we're looking at doing and helping us enhance that opportunity.
Okay.
I'd like to expound on the DeKalb County. There's a new subdivision being put in now down on Lannis Road. Company out of Chicago bought a farm. They're going to put in 42 or 43 new lots.
Right.
Again, DeKalb County, but it's our water district, so again, that's going to be a tremendous growth right there.
Y'all have some great long-range plans too that I was looking at, and you know me, I'm a planner that comes from my emergency services background. We were always planning for the worst case scenario, and but also how you're going to handle things in the future, and that's one thing that I applaud y'all for too is looking ahead to the future and talk a little bit about some of those long-range plans that you have got.
Well, we want to go and talk about that interchange and some of the systems. Maybe Grover might want to talk about the wastewater treatment operations that are available to us that can make us our water taps and our customers more dense. We can get more customers into these subdivisions by being able to offer sewer and being able to offer sewer from a commercial basis as well. Office relocation, we're looking at the possibility of, and we're doing some study with Upland
Design Group.
Upland Design is looking at some things for us. They're fixing to redo the intersection down here,
West Cemetery Road,
West Cemetery Road, and all that. And they're taking a substantial amount of the property. The little office facilities has been there. We've got the maintenance facility on down the road. So we're looking at possibly merging that or relocating all that into a central location.
Well, and what years ago when the district was created, that little location where you were at was probably really good, but that is such a high traffic area now with the intersection, new red lights going in there and widening turn lanes and all that kind of stuff.
We don't have to be there. No, we don't have to be there, and we can take the equity out of there to go buy a new piece of property or expand on where we're at down by Diddy Road. That's a possibility.
One thing that I know you're talking about that is very dear to the county and to me is fire protection. Of course, utility districts were not put in existence years ago for fire protection. They were put in for drinking water. But with the county fire department servicing all those areas, being able to have water to fight those fires is a service to the customers also. And y'all have done a great job with the fire hydrants.
Right. We've worked with the county fire chief on this, and we've added a few fire hydrants, and we're looking to add 3 more this year, and maybe the next few years afterwards if it makes sense, to put them in strategic locations where he can go fill his trucks up when need be. They can't hook to them and pump off of them, but if they don't have to travel 3 miles to go fill a truck up, they can just travel a mile. That'll cut down on that cycle time and maybe help them save lives and or property.
Yeah,
so as part of our community service, we need to be considering that.
One thing that I was led to believe, I think, I can't speak for the other 2 commissioners, but we was led to believe that our fire department was kind of restricted to the use of our water in the utility. And, we immediately opened that up. We got with the fire chief and said, hey, look, those fire hydrants are there. A lot of these fire hydrants you can't pump from, but they can fill their tanker up. That's the big issue. There's a big difference between and I learned in the utility early on that these fire hydrants have a code.
They do.
There's different colors for different things.
Depending on the pressure and all those kind of things.
But we said, look, fire chief, if you need to get water, we want you to get water.
There was a day down in Grover that, and I served on the volunteer fire department in my younger days. There was a day when we weren't allowed to even fill up the trucks off those fire hydrants, that they put locks on them and wanted to charge the county for the water that they were using to fight a fire, when in reality that was for the citizens of that community, and it was their home that was on fire, and we were volunteers were out there trying to do it, and never did agree with that, and y'all have changed that. And
as Dal said, it's wide open to the county.
It is.
All we want to know is kind of what they guess they use so we can put it into our water laws, but absolutely no charge for water, because again, this is part of our community, and I'll gladly pay my share to help my neighbor.
Right. Every developer that's coming to the utility now, we're asking, can we help with some fire hydrants? We may not be able to pump, but we can at least have those to where
they can fill
the county can get access, and it's helping our chief in that 5-mile radius where he's got access to water, or the substations where they put those. It gets complicated with all that, but we're trying to work with him and enhance our fire suppressant system as much as we possibly can.
Grover, you born and raised
in
that area, and have lots of family that live in that area. I know you've seen growth over the last several years, but what do you see the future for Cookeville Boat Dock in that area?
I think it's the bedroom community of Putnam County. I think the growth's going to continue to just jump up there, because again, you've got the new 5th interchange, the Baxter exit, the Willow exit. So I think people are just going to build south of there so they can jump on the interstate and go where they want to go. So we're planning for that. We're expecting that to be the case for the next 40 years. And with the growth in Middle Tennessee, we're going to get our share of it.
Got a new school coming in your area down there. You cover that you're in your utility district, where they're looking at building down off of Lee Seminary Road. Any issues with covering the school with that amount of water?
Well, actually, that's in the city limits of Cookeville.
When
they built the business park,
that
was part of their territory, so Cookeville will have that.
So you won't have to worry about that.
But I would like to talk about the wastewater that Dow mentioned a while ago. We're looking at getting in the wastewater treatment business, because utility districts can do that, and there's new techniques out there to treat that. If we can get into that, then we can do a better use of farmland. Instead of spread out so much, they can be condensed up on the houses and subdivisions, therefore smaller lots, and we can collect that wastewater and treat it as a utility district. That means apartments can go in. But presently, you can't put apartments because you don't have the sewer system.
Don't have sewer system.
So we're in the process of getting our paperwork in place to do that, and again, we think that's going to help our area grow more.
Well, y'all do such a great job, and I want to say on my behalf, you have outdone what I ever dreamed could be done with that utility district. When I asked you to step up on the board and to get things turned around, I never dreamed it would be this good. So thank you for what you're doing for the community, and thank you for being on the show today. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Randy, for having us. We appreciate the challenge that we've had with the utility.
And thank you for the confidence you placed in us.
Absolutely. Grover Bennett Jr., Dow Harris, and, of course, David Matson was not able to make it with us today. They're the board members for the Cookeville Boat Dock Utility District.